Hello, everyone. Are we ready to go, Risha?
Yes, we are.
Oh, excellent. So I'm Chris Reeves. I'm coming live from you from the beaches of Gulf Shores, Alabama, and I've departed my umbrella momentarily to come in and join my colleague Risha to speak with you a little bit about student innovation startups. I'm, as I said, Chris Reeves. I'm the executive director of the Academic Engagement Programs, which falls under the Office of Undergraduate Education. And we're going to talk about student innovations and startups. And Risha, you want to introduce yourself?
So, yes, I am Risha Reid, and you can see my email on the screen. You can always reach out to me. I am the program manager for student innovation in the Office of Undergraduate Research.
And so all day today, since what about noon today, we've been running sessions for the Office for Undergraduate Education. So hopefully you were able to attend those sessions. If not, you will be able to see those sessions on the, there you go, Risha, I think I jumped ahead, but on the OUE FASET website, oue.godtech.edu FASET, you can go there and see them. We'll post those sessions. Those are the sessions that occurred live. These sessions will occur live again throughout the summer, so you can always see them at that point. So what do we have on the other slide out, Risha? Did we have something about the directions?
Yes, so if you look on the screen, you will see just the different things that we have going on today. So you can always contact us via chat, and we will keep responding to those. We also have the Q&A available, so you can actually post your questions there as well. We'll also have polls going on, so if you look to the right of your screen, we will let you know on the presentation when you can just look over to the poll section of your screen, and you could also just respond to those. We want to hear from you. And so just keep those coming. We want to hear from you. We have just several things that we will be covering. And so we're going to talk throughout this session about the culture of innovation and startups at tech. And that will cover looking at the incubator that we have that's very student focused. We also have our student innovation program that I manage. We have maker spaces on campus that you can take advantage of. We have also a few competitions that we wanted to participate in. And also, what is the innovation environment at tech so that you can actually jump right in when you get started in a few weeks, a couple of weeks really, at Georgia Tech in terms of innovation. Chris?
All right, so we'll talk for about 25 minutes, and then we'll answer some questions. If you have questions, as Risha said, make sure you're putting them in the chat, and then we will answer those on the fly in the chat, or we will cover those questions at the end of the session. And so as Risha was mentioning, the culture of innovation, so that's something we're going to talk about right now, in that there's basically been two outcomes for Georgia Tech students, and they're great outcomes, and they've been existed for about 130 years, and that is you went to Georgia Tech and you graduated and you got a high-paying job at a Fortune 500 company. Still exists today. The other outcome was you graduated and went on to graduate school at Georgia Tech or went on to another prestigious school in terms of graduate school or professional or medical school. And so that still exists today as well. But now there's a third option, and that's just come about within the last 10 years, and that is you can be the inventor of your own career. You can be the next Google, you can be the next Facebook, the next Apple computer. You can be it. You have the intellectual ability to do it. But what makes the difference is whether you have the will inside of you to pursue it. Do you have that will to pursue your ideas, to fail at something, to pick yourself up and try again? Do you have that persistence? And Georgia Tech, recognizing that, to help students with that will, has pumped in millions of dollars of resources into student ideas in terms of incubators, accelerators, competitions, all the things that Risha mentioned. And so we're going to talk about those specifically right now. And CreateX was one of those, Risha, I think that you brought up, and I'll talk about that program real quickly. So CreateX came about 6 years ago, and that program is all focused on helping students create startups. So it was funded by Chris Klaus. If you know Chris Klaus, he was a Georgia Tech student, Chris Klaus, and he sold his company to IBM, Internet Security Systems, to IBM for $1.2 billion. $1.2 billion. And so we'll mention some other students that like Chris, but what I want you to realize is don't think these ideas like Chris had or any other student had are like unique. Oh, those are great ideas. it's not the ideas. It's the execution of the ideas, which is the difficult part. It's never the ideas. It's how you implement it that's the hard part. And that's what we're trying to help you with. CreateX helps you do that. There's 3 prongs to the CreateX program. The first one is a course. It's called Startup Lab. And anyone can take this course. And that whole course is focused on customer discovery. You'll take the problem that you're working on. You'll go out and interview customers to try to find out, is this something they really want solved? They'll look at your solution so you can get real feedback to see if this is something that people care about, right? It's one thing to create something in your dorm room that only you care about, but you have to find something that has market fit that other people care about, care enough that problem solved. And that's what a big part of that course is about. The other part of this course, as part of the CreateX program, is the make part of it, learn, make, and I did a prototype. So I did a prototype is students receive undergraduate research credit for working on their own idea. And so you'll receive funding in that class to buy any materials and supplies you need to build out whatever prototype you are building. Fantastic opportunity for students. And these programs, like I said, are not that old, but have been growing tremendously since they started just a few years ago. And then the last part of this CreateX program is launch, startup launch. And that's all about students launching their startup. They receive funding, $4,000 worth of funding to be part of this program. They have the opportunity to receive investment program at the end of the program. They get coaching and mentoring. They get pitch practice. And it's all about launching your startup at the end of this program. The goal for CreateX is to launch 300 startups per year. We started 6 years ago, launching 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and now we're more than that in terms of the startups that we're launching. Okay, Risha, and this is some examples of some of the programs that we run in the fall that Risha sets up for our students. So Risha, you want to talk about some of these?
No problem. So on the screen, as Chris talked about, we try to get you involved in different ways. So if you want to take a class, CreateX is there for you, that you can jump on any of those class sessions, whether you're first year or whether you're a senior. We also provide workshops as well. And so these ones, it's not tied to a class. So you can say, hey, I just want to actually be able to pitch my idea, and you can actually jump into that session. And so there are different things that we work on, and we're also wanting to know from you as well while our sessions are going on. Anything that you think, okay, this is missing, I want to actually participate in this, or I want to hear more information about that. And we can work with different people within the community and at Georgia Tech to actually provide those for you. Some of the things we started based on talking with students are on the next screen. And so we also have Idea Buzz. And so with that is where you meet with an innovation coach and you get to talk through your idea. We provide concrete steps that you can utilize for moving your idea forward. And that could be working with different partners on campus or working with different partners within the community. The other thing we have is startup AMAs, or Ask Me Anything sessions. And with these sessions, you can actually meet. We have a group of students coming together, and we actually just have this forum, open session, and nothing is on the record, and everything is open for you to discuss and talk about what you can do in your separate areas to actually move your idea forward, and how you can actually partner with different students at the table as well. The next thing we have is pitch your idea. And so this is very informal. So it's not where you're nervous and sweating and all of that. You actually get to actually meet with different partners we have on campus, and you get to actually talk about your idea. We provide funding as well. And so you get up to $500 to actually build out your idea. And in addition to that, you can ask for more coaching. You can also talk about mentorship as well. And with these sessions, mentorship especially, we partner with different people within the Atlanta community for you to actually work with them and talk with them about what they can do to actually help you and what you can do to actually move your idea forward as well. Chris?
Okay, so we have our first poll question up, Risha, and that is, what is the name of the Georgia Tech student-run makerspace? So you should see, Risha, I'll let you direct them on how to get the poll up here.
Yes, I'm trying to start it on my end. It's been a little bit tricky. And I may need someone on my team to actually help me start this poll.
So we'll see if we can get the poll started. Perfect. There we go.
And so the poll is, you can see it up now. What is the name of Georgia Tech student makerspace?
We'll give everybody it.
Yes.
Are we collecting results?
We're collecting results. They're awesome. I think a lot of people have an idea of what it is. And so I'm going to end the poll right about now. And so you can actually see, Chris, you can see the poll results.
I do. I just hit on that poll results. And being bright students that we are, you're correct. Invention Studio is the name of the Georgia Tech student-run makerspace. It is the best student-run makerspace in the United States on a university campus. And you have the opportunity to go there and work on your invention. If you want to even work there as a prototype instructor, you can do that. Risha's showing us some of just a very small sample of the different machines you can have there, anywhere from commercial grade 3D printers, metalworking. There's like that water jet laser cutter there that can cut up to an inch of steel if necessary. So all machines are free for you to use. You have to be trained on some of them, obviously, but the students there can help you get trained on them. It's just a great opportunity. And we have a video that we're going to show about the Invention Studio, Risha.
Yes.
The Invention Studio is this magical place where they have basically every tool that you could possibly want to build something, and most of them are tools that no person could ever possibly afford.
What we're doing here is actually completely new, not just at Georgia Tech, but everywhere.
We're all teaching ourselves and teaching each other and creating a sort of collaborative environment where knowledge flows really easily.
It's kind of helping reshape and kind of mold the future of education here, really into much more of this kind of maker, creator, hacker culture.
We went from having 10 students in one room to having 5 rooms, and we're up to like 60 students right now running the shop.
We keep the doors open, we keep the machines running.
We're sure that all of the safety protocol are met.
On a monthly basis, we have around 500 different people coming in from across 9 or so different majors.
When you really get mechanical engineers and you get industrial designers and you get material science majors and you get biomedical engineers and all these majors literally coming together and sitting down at a table, you get completely different ideas.
There are some really cool people here doing some really crazy things.
I was cutting out the lid and base for a Faraday cage for a particulate accelerator.
I'm working on improving my BattleBot.
We've been playing around with making some jet turbine wheels.
I'm working on my steel string acoustic guitar.
I'm working on an experimental model aircraft.
I'm working on a 50-kilogram satellite.
In order to keep the Invention Studio open and available to all students, it takes lots and lots of funding. That money comes from our generous corporate sponsors, as well as the tech fee that we get annually. The great need is to have a building, an entire building dedicated to the idea of interdisciplinary design and bringing the maker movement back into engineering and engineering schools.
That you were just able to see. And so that's actually an old video, but it's Risha and my favorite one. And so we showed that there's actually more than 1,000 students that go to the Invention Studio on a monthly basis. It's not even, it doesn't look like that anymore. It's been completely renovated in an even bigger and better space now. But that's the Invention Studio, a great place for you to build out and develop a community with like-minded students who are makers. And so we have many different makerspaces on campus. The Invention Studio is the biggest one, and then one of the newest ones is the Hive that is right off the green and next to the Van Leer building. That's the kind of the rotunda you see there, that round oval-shaped building is the makerspace. And so this makerspace is also open to any student at Georgia Tech. It is designed for electrical and computing components. So if you're building a prototype that needs an electrical or computing component, or you need to use an electrical computing machine to install whatever it is you're working on, this is where you would go. This is where all the electrical computing makerspace happens, and that's where the equipment is And there's makerspaces in biomedical engineering. There's some in aerospace, but these happen to be the two major ones. I believe, do you have another poll question coming up, Risha?
Yes, so we have one going right now about what is the name of Georgia Tech's Student Innovation Competition. And we have a bunch of responses coming in. We love them. And so let's see if we can go ahead, and you have a few more minutes, well, a few more seconds really, to enter your response for that. Okay, the poll has now ended. We have 26 votes. Chris, can you tell us what the result of those polls are?
Overwhelmingly, it is the Inventure Prize. And this is something that actually Risha and I do coordinate directly. Some of these other programs we're just kind of affiliated with, or we help them with. This one we do coordinate directly, and our students are correct and right again. It is the Inventure Prize. So Risha, you're going to talk about the Inventure Prize, I believe?
Yes, so this is a student innovation competition for undergraduate students and also for recently graduated undergraduate students. This is held live before a studio audience. So we have about 800 to about 1,000 students usually show up, and also community partners to actually see our students in action. The final round is in the First Center Theater. We have 16s, but there's a bunch of money as well that students can actually compete for. And so we have a video that we want to show you that tells you a little bit more about this innovation competition. Chris, can I go ahead?
Yes, let's roll it.
Awesome.
Welcome to the 12th annual Georgia Tech Inventure Prize. All of this year's finalists have already made it through a gauntlet of multiple levels of interdisciplinary competition against extremely qualified challengers.
We're Syndelic, and we're making a smart scheduler that's backed by artificial intelligence.
We're Team Squad Buddy, and we're spotted from the future.
The autonomous firefighting robot gives the fastest response to building fires.
Watch is tomorrow's tools for today's solar.
What an incredible way to spend an evening awarding $35,000 in startup money and patent assistance to these incredible teams here on the Inventure Prize stage.
After speaking with nearly 100 doctors and patients across the country, we realized that we were just scratching the surface.
To get to this stage is a prize unto itself.
If you think waiter is greater, don't be a hater.
Everyone is doing something really, really impressive.
Amazing what you've built.
Georgia Tech graduates and Inventure Prize competitors have gone on to create incredibly successful companies.
It's more fun to be on the judging side than the competing side.
The Inventure Prize is proof positive that absolutely nothing can stop innovation at Georgia Tech.
And so I believe, and so on the screen you will see the finalists from the startup, the Inventure Prize competition that just happened. And so on the screen you will see a variation of different ideas that our students present, from an internship platform for students to be able to review their internships, to a monitoring device to ensure that their things are not stolen when they're at coffee shops, to a medical device, to systems to work in restaurants. We just have a gamut of different ideas. And so what does that mean for you? It means that we want to hear from you regardless of your idea. And so whatever your idea is, whatever it is that you develop at Georgia Tech, we want to hear from you, and we want you to participate in the Inventure Prize. And so I'm going to bat this over to Chris, who's going to talk a little bit more about just the environment of Georgia Tech and what we have in our backyard.
Yeah, so as Risha said, the Inventure Prize, it's the largest undergraduate invention competition. It's also on television, studio audience. So NPR described it as American Idol for nerds. So just to have you an idea, a lot of fun. And Risha and I certainly enjoy working with our students because they just do magnificent inventions. And so we're gonna one of the areas too on campus that can help you with your ideas and the startup area is Tech Square. Tech Square is right across the interstate, and that's where a lot of the startup activities happens. A lot of the accelerators and incubators and innovation hubs are over there. Venture Lab, their whole charge is to help students and faculty commercialize their research. And so that's an opportunity. They have a lot of people there who can help you with your ideas. ATDC, now they've been around since the 1980s. They've been around a little bit longer. They help small businesses in the whole state of Georgia, but most of them end up being a lot of Georgia Tech businesses and students who work for those companies at ATDC, and they have a lot of programming that you can go to free as a Georgia Tech student to help advance your ideas. So that's a great opportunity for you as well. Center for Deliberate Innovation. This is run by Merrick First. They had focused for many times on helping information companies in the Atlanta area, and they've now started looking inwardly and are helping Georgia Tech community faculty think more deliberate about their innovation and have been very successful in launching a lot of startups. And then the innovation hubs, which is interesting when you think about startups, you think about small companies, but how many large companies have moved into Tech Square because to set up these innovation centers, anybody from like Panasonic to Boeing to NCR, ThyssenKrupp to Chick-fil-A even has an innovation center because they want to be part of this vibrant intellectual creativity, a creative community that we've started at Georgia Tech. And so Georgia Tech students and faculty can help them with their problems, and in turn they'll help Georgia Tech students and faculty with their problems and ideas. And I think we're kind of running behind, so we had a video, but we're going to skip this one, aren't we, Risha?
Yes. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the student clubs on campus. Can I go ahead?
Yes.
Awesome. And so we have two main student organizations that we believe that you'll be interested in. The very first one is Startup Exchange. And so if you have a company, if you're thinking about having your company, if you want to be around students who are thinking about the same thing as well, then this is a fantastic organization to be a part of. And you can actually just go to startup.exchange and you can find out more about them. That is on the screen, but they would love for you to actually be a part of their organization. They're very professional. They have a ton of contacts across the United States, and they bring a lot of those startup companies that are very successful to campus for you to talk to and talk with. The next one is HackGT. And again, you can find their website right before you, hack.gt. And so with that organization, they're problem solvers. And so you're not trying to start a company with that, you're trying to solve real world problems. And so they work with many different organizations. Last year, they worked with the Department of Veteran Affairs. They worked with the military as well. And so they work with different organizations and you receive funding for that. So depending on how good you are at solving problems, you can actually get funding to actually help to do that. And so also go to their website and just find out a little bit more about what they have to offer. And Chris, do we want to get on to the next one about ACC Inventure Prize?
Sure. So we now have 4 competitions that fall under the Inventure Prize brand. The next one is the ACC Inventure Prize. So all the universities in the 15 universities that make up the Atlantic Coast Conference now send a team to participate. It's also live on television. Georgia Tech hosted it the first 3 years. The last 2 years, NC State has hosted it. And so that's another opportunity for our student teams. And then even more recently, we have do we have a poll question coming up, Risha?
Yes, we do. It's running right now. We want to hear what you're saying.
Okay. So the poll question is, does Georgia Tech own intellectual property of undergraduate students? And then
sorry.
Yeah,
and so
that's fine.
Wow, we have some answers coming in. Fantastic.
So we'll let that run and see if we get 3 for 3 today on our poll questions, maybe.
Oh, I'm going to close it in about a few seconds. So get those on in.
Like we have a favored.
The students know what's happening ahead of time. That's what's happening. Okay, so our poll has ended, Chris. You see those results on your screen?
And that's right. And once again, you are correct. Georgia Tech does not own your intellectual property. As an undergraduate student, you own your intellectual property. There's a couple of rare exceptions to that, and that would be, and I mentioned this in a different session, like if you were working for a company and they were hired you as an employee, then obviously it would be their intellectual property and you didn't own it. Unless there was something created out of it, now you might be joint owners, and that's something that happens on an individual basis. But you own your intellectual property at Georgia Tech, no matter if you've taken part in a class or Georgia Tech resources. You as an undergraduate student own your intellectual property, and a lot of times I tell students that Georgia Tech is not interested in owning your intellectual property. What Georgia Tech is interested in you being very successful and remembering Georgia Tech. That's what we're interested in you, and we will help you in your successes any way that we can. So what's coming up, Risha, on the next slide?
Yes.
So here we have just some slides, and maybe we'll kind of go through these quick because we're running out of time. This is Colby Hanley, who invented an Archer scope, very innovative in terms of how the battery operated. It was a magnetic, and it was just clipped on the device. Had a single point of light, as you can see that. And so you want to just kind of go through these, Risha.
Want to talk about Ethos?
Ethos medical surgical tool that they're now working on. They've received a SBIR grant recently, several $100,000. Go to the next one, Risha. FireHUD also did over $1 million worth of sales this year. A heads-up display for firemen was the original device. Now it's like a wristwatch device. Okay. And so, Risha, you want to talk about some of this mailing list and some of the social media?
No problem. And so to find out more information about student innovation at Georgia Tech, that includes all the programs that we have offering, whether it's CreateX or anything else, you can go to innovation.govtech.edu. We've invited you to also sign up for a newsletter, and you can just go to b.link/innovation sign up, and that will get you right to that page where you can actually just sign up for the newsletter, and you'll get weekly updates from us about what's happening across campus and in the greater community that you can participate in. We also have a number of social media handles, and so we want you to join us on them as well.